Hi everyone, this is Kyle with kayDbait. I wanted to make an articulate and very straightforward argument on tolerance. My last video was a failure in that regard, so I'm making this one. I made a few notes on a piece of paper. So I'm going to start with the lowest level of tolerance. Just let them live. Don't kill them, don't attack them, don't hurt them. You don't have to respect them, you don't have to treat them fairly. You just let them live. And it's apathetic, dismissive, dehumanizing, definitely, because you're saying you have the power over them, so you are like unto a god to them. It's very common in third world countries that have a repressed people. Take Iraq and women kind of thing. It's just that's an example. It's like we need them for things, but otherwise treat them badly. Not always, not everywhere, but it's just it's technically a level of tolerance, but it's only as tolerant as the most basic will to live would allow. The next one is let them belong. This one's closer to what we have in the United States as a majority rule. Is most of our laws are about equality. Most of our laws are about maintaining at least a semblance of fairness. There's our constitutional rights, the amendments in that of right to a speedy trial, right, just free speech, freedom of religion, freedom of persecution, of unbalanced enforcement of the law, stuff like that. So you can't say, oh, because you're black, I'm gonna kill you. I know that's I shouldn't laugh at that, but from all the stuff that's been happening, and it's just it exists still. So I'm saying it's like what we have in the United States, though it's not exactly how it's being enforced, which is bad. It was the hypocrisy in my head that made me think it was funny. Because it's so absurd, I have to laugh, because otherwise I would actually be very upset. And I am upset, but not as much, because I can distance myself from that mentally. Otherwise, I go nuts. I think a lot of people do that, actually. I think a lot of people become apathetic because the things are just so bad compared to what they could be. It's the apathy again. Apathy causes problems. So anyway, the last one I wrote down was let them thrive. Let them be us. They are us. So let them have every opportunity we do. That also is a reflection of what we do in the United States, or at least that's the if we had like a slogan, ours is land of the free. That's home of the brave. And I know that's a military thing, but that's really how we try to perpetuate our image in the world. That's like anyone I've talked to say America is all about freedom. Freedom, the big eagle with the flag flying over the world. That's why we declare war on people. That's why we fight. That's why we do everything we do is in the name of freedom. So home of the free. That's really our slogan. Whether we always follow it or not is debatable, of course. So tolerance. The United States view on tolerance is very it's hit or miss a lot, depending on majority rule and what the government itself does. There's a lot of arguments that we don't perpetuate freedom, we perpetuate capitalism. Or we perpetuate our brand of freedom, which is actually fairly judgmental in the eyes of minorities. Or religious persecution as well, where we treat certain religions above or below others. There's also the argument against the Native Americans. Free but not fair. There's a lot of arguments against this. They're citizens here, but they were here first, and we killed somewhere between 2 and I think it was 14 million of them, and we actually don't know, and very few people actually care, and that bothers me a lot. But again, that's like we tolerate their existence because I guess wiping them out entirely would probably be really bad for our image, even though our image is already really bad. And that becomes more of a political issue than a human rights issue, and I think that's a problem because human rights are kind of the biggest thing as far as people's lives go. So that bothers me a lot. So we tolerate the Native Americans. We tolerate the minorities in the country. We tolerate the minorities around the world, even though there's probably a vast majority of other, nationalities around the world that we just don't care about. So what kind of things should we do? What kind of arguments should we have? And the one I have, the one that I was trying to explain last time and was failing, is that we are humans. We are all one race, as far as I am concerned. I don't mind different cultures whatsoever. I think that they're awesome in many ways. They're different than mine. They're interesting. They're probably more fun, as comparatively. Like, I grew up in a very, very dull kind of area. Like, I mean, there was a lot of drugs. There was a lot of parties and stuff, but I did not like that. I found it to be negative. And then I go to some of my other friends' houses, and they would have parties too, but there wouldn't be drugs. There would be some drinking, but it was just a casual kind of thing. I'm like, this is a much better culture than mine. This is a better environment. I like this. And I'm not saying that it's better. The grass is always greener on the other side. I'm sure if they looked at mine, they'd probably see it was different than I do. But cultural differences do not divide us. They make us unique, but they shouldn't divide us. I mean, they do, but they shouldn't. That's what I meant to say. So they do technically divide us. Skin color divides us. How you look divides us. Where you live, how you live, who you love, what you believe, who you identify politically. All of it divides us, and it shouldn't. So my take on tolerance at that level is, if you're going to divide people, don't do it by nationality, ethnicity, religious persuasion, or political identity. Don't do that. It's arbitrary. Where you grew up, how you grew up, who you believed in, is all based off of pre-defined statistics. If I was born to a low-income African-American family in a really bad part of town, I would not be where I am right now. Obviously, I would not be where I am right now. And that's not anyone's fault. It's just statistics. And I'm not simplifying people's lives in the name of statistics. No. I'm saying, if I was a low-income, a minority, somewhere in a bad area, the odds of my success are lower than if I was Caucasian, middle class, nice neighborhood. I'm not saying I'm any of those things. I'm technically half Hispanic. But I don't look it, so I guess that's a notch in my hat, even though I don't think that's a cool thing. Anyway, it's all based off of preconceived ideas anyway. Statistically, it's not equal. It's not fair. And it should be fair. It should be equal. It should be that everyone gets a fair chance. And you say, yeah, you have a fair chance. I have actually had this argument so many times. One of them was with my previous landlord. He believed that everyone gets a fair chance, and that if you fail, it is your own fault. When I countered with just that argument, is that if you were black in a predominantly trashy neighborhood, you would not have the job you have. You would not be where you are. And he's like, well, I'm not. And so he couldn't get out of his own shoes, pretty much. He couldn't see something from somebody else's perspective. He's like, well, the reason the black community is so bad, and he's like, and then he went, racist tangent. So I don't agree with that. Don't do that. Don't simplify. Don't do that. So where people, and I've had that is the argument that they had, and it was just like, well, it's their own fault. I was like, no, it's not. I mean, it might be like a previous person. They're kids. You're yelling at kids for being poor and black and, you know, in a gang because otherwise they'd be shot. And it's like, no, that is not how simplification should ever be used. It's racist, it's bias, it's bad. So don't do that. And if you're watching this, I am not misquoting you. You actually said that. And it bothered me a lot. Whether I said it to your face or not, I did say that it bothered me, but I didn't explain why. Because when somebody gets that bad, I don't want to talk about it as much. I mean, I do, but, you know, what am I going to say that'll change your mind? So again, I apologize for that. To the everybody, not to you at all. And that's also why I don't talk to you anymore. You wonder why I don't answer any of your phone calls anymore. There's a lot of issues with tolerance in the modern day that people don't address. They think it's an archaic form of thought, but then they do it themselves, or they know somebody that does it and they don't say anything about it. And I did, and it had no effect, so I stopped. It is very difficult to be a proponent of equality when you are faced with blatant racism or bigotry, because it is difficult. It is emotionally draining. It is physically draining. It takes an energy that I don't understand where it comes from or where it goes. It is like it's almost like an emotional like battery that drains when things are difficult, and not necessarily physical. It's just like I'll have a conversation with somebody, and it just every single thing they say makes me feel blah. And then after 10, 20, 30 minutes, I just can't do it anymore. I can't keep up that level of, you know, I guess tolerance. I can't keep it up. I can't keep it. It's gone from my mind, and I just want to throw my hands up in the air and walk away. I don't, but I get less and less involved in the conversation, and eventually it stops. And it's difficult for me to keep going when I don't want to be there, when I don't want to talk to you anymore, because it's obvious that my words mean nothing to you. My reasonings are being ignored entirely, or being twisted into your own idealistic insanity, I guess. So when you have blatant racism, when you have somebody that doesn't like something, they don't let them live, let them belong, or let them thrive. They're just like, I don't like them, get rid of them. Whatever reason, maybe it's not kill them, but it's make them go away. And that's not let them live. That's not let them belong or thrive. It's nothing. It's make them go away. It's the opposite of any of those. It's maybe you're not all the way on the reverse side, but you're not up there. Maybe you're not at 10. You're 1 or 0 or -1. Or what's the difference? It's like, yeah, there's a big difference between make them go away and let them stay here. I mean, still not enough. I mean, we should make them all equal. That's what I think. But and by make them equal, I mean give them equal opportunities, not change them. So what is the argument of tolerance? Is that we're all human. We are all human. And if you don't treat somebody as human because of what they look like or what they believe in, then you're wrong. And I know that it's a bit strong to say, it's like you are wrong, but it's true. And it's really, really... There are people, I believe, that don't... I've had this problem a lot when making videos, whenever I try to talk about certain people in my life that have been monstrous to me, and to everyone I've ever met as well. I know people that have killed people. I know people that have destroyed people's lives for no reason, and people that have tried to do those things to me. And it's really, really hard for me to talk about them. I've made many videos and deleted all of them because I couldn't handle it. And I still can't directly. I can't make a video about them, and I have tried several times. That's mostly why those giant gaps in my posting have happened, because I've had breakdowns, several of them. emotional breakdowns that were really, really bad. And I just didn't want to do this anymore. I've stopped several times because I couldn't handle it. But there are people that I know personally that have removed all sense of morality in their lives and just do whatever the heck they want, whether it hurts people or not, and actually are gleefully hurting people because they think it's fun, or can get something out of it. And I have a really hard time tolerating them, a lot of problems tolerating them, though I still believe they're human. I don't try to dehumanize them. I don't say they deserve to die. I don't say that, though I think it sometimes because of how horrible they are and how much better the world would be if they weren't in it. But that's not fair in my mind. That is not fair to say, to push, or to try and make come to pass. My own problems are not something I can push onto the world. I shouldn't push those onto the world. When I am wronged, it is my thing. I deal with it. I don't want to push my hate or my bigotry onto other people. And I have it. And I have to live with it. And I don't want to, but I do. And it hurts a lot. But I'm not going to start pushing that onto the world. And when I see other people doing that for no reason, they say, hey, I hate you, you should die. All I see is these people that don't think, they don't care, they're ignorant, and they're blissfully ignorant, and they're pompous, and they're just so full of their self-righteous bigotry. They love it because it lets them do the things they want to do. And these are the kind of people that hurt other people for no reason. And then these people that are hurt blame themselves because they don't know why they're hated and they think it's justified in some way. That is what happens. That is why intolerance is wrong. And this is the basis of the... Sorry, I don't mean to do that. This is what happens whenever I talk about these things. This is why we have to have this conversation. Every single time, when you have this idea that tolerance is just a switch. I'm going to tolerate that because I like it. I'm not going to tolerate that because I dislike it. That's wrong. It simplifies so much and it dehumanizes everyone. You, them, just humanity in general. It dehumanizes the issue. It makes the issue a non-issue because it's I don't like it, I don't care. And it's not how it's supposed to be. So tolerance, the argument for tolerance is that there's no reason not to be besides your own bigotry. And it's not meant to sound poetic, it's not meant to be poetic, it's meant to be true. So I apologize if it sounded flowery. I just don't think that people should hurt people for no reason. And if you think you have a reason, make it a good one. Don't make it self-justified. Don't say, I don't like them, therefore I did it. Because you're the problem. You are the one that is causing pain where there doesn't have to be. And if you think the person you're hurting deserves it, you're wrong. The people that have wronged me, I have done nothing against them. I have tried to prevent them from hurting others. I have tried to talk to them. I've tried to reason with them. They have fought me on every avenue. And that hurts because it means I've failed. But I would not hurt them just because I could. I wouldn't try to be like them if it got me what I wanted. I know what it feels like to be hurt for no reason. I don't know what it's like to be a minority that is hated because I'm a minority. I don't know that feeling. But I know what it's like to be hurt by people for no reason. To be hurt by people that just hate me or abuse me because they can. Because I was trying to help them, and I did help them, and then I didn't know that they were lying to me the entire time. So I have that. I'm not ignorant completely. I know that it hurts. I know that's not fair. And I know that it shouldn't happen. And that's my argument for tolerance in that regard. There's other kinds. There's obviously, smaller things. There's things that are less life-changing that also should be addressed. But that can be a different video. It can be a smaller video. It's less reactionary on my part, I guess. So, yeah, there's stuff that should happen. There's stuff that needs to be talked about more, and I think that's definitely something I should talk about later. Not right now. I have things I have to do, and I definitely need to get myself cleaned up again. So, just to, not look like I've just been. I don't know how well this picks up in my webcam. My eyes being all red and puffy and whatever. So I'm gonna eat something. I'm gonna get ready for work. I have to go to work. So I hope that I don't want this to be an emotional thing. I don't want this to be like, oh, this is so moving because it's emotional. No, I'm trying to make a logical argument, and I just happen to be very sensitive to it. So that's it. This is my video on tolerance. We're all human, and there's no reason to be judgmental. There's no reason to be intolerant or unfair to people, because we're all the same. Now, your actions can dictate how you react. Like, their actions can dictate how you should react with that. I'm not going to trust somebody who has lied to me in the past, kind of thing. At least not as much. So that's it. That's my argument. So I hope that was helpful to you, and peace.